Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Welcome to all for this session on Ramayana to chapter 11 of Kishkindha Kanda. In the previous chapters, Sugriva was narrating the reason behind the enmity with Vali, where because of a titan named Mayavi who came and challenged Wali to the fight and then went and hid himself in the cave. Wali went inside the cave but did not return for an year. Sugriva, assuming that Wali is dead, closed the entrance to the cave and then came returned back to the Kishkindha where he was crowned as the king. A little later, Wali returned back from there, enraged, seeing Sugriva close the cave first and then been sitting there as a king on his throne. Immediately he accused Sugriva, and threw him out of the kingdom. But that was a right activity. Later, he even objected. He snatched the wife of Sugriva from him even while he was alive, and that was the main mistake for which Rama promised Sugriva, saying that Vali will going to be punished. Having listened to Rama's words, which inspired him with joy and courage, Sugriva paid obeisance to him, manifesting his gratitude, and said, "In your watch, undoubtedly you are able to burn up the worlds with your sharp arrows, like the fire at the end of the great cycle. Yet reflect on the courage of Wali, and having heard me with attention, consider what should be done. When the sun rises, the indefatigable Wali strides from the western to the eastern ocean. He is explaining the greatness of Wali and his abilities. Wali strides from the western to the eastern ocean and from the northern to the southern sea. He is so powerful that he is able to break off the lofty mountain peaks, throwing them into the air and catching them again. In order to demonstrate his strength, he will snap into innumerable trees of every kind in the forest. Once there existed a giant named Dundhubi in the form of a buffalo who resembled the peak of Mount Kailasa and who was as strong as 1,000 elephants. The thought of his own might intoxicated him, and he was puffed up with pride on account of the boons he had received. That giant came to the sea, the lord of rivers, and approached that ocean of tumultuous waves, rich in pearls, saying, "Let us enter into a combat one with the other." But the righteous Lord of the waters, rising up in all his majesty, answered the Titan who was driven on by destiny, saying, "O skillful warrior, I am not able to take up your challenge. Here I will tell you of one who can match you in fight. On a vast plain, the retreat of the ascetics, there lives a monarch of the mountains named Himavan, the far famed father in law of Shiva. He possesses great rivers, many ravines and waterfalls, and is well able to satisfy your overwhelming lust for combat. Reflecting, the ocean holds me in dread. That foremost of titans sped to the forest of Himavat as swift as an arrow loosed from the bow. Breaking off the great white cliffs, Dundhubi let them roll down, shouting with exultation. Then, like a mass of white cloud, Himavat of great gentle and benign aspect, standing on the summit of the mountain, addressed the Titan thus: "Do not torment me, O Dundhubi. O you who delight in justice, I am not concerned with the exploits of the warriors, but am a refuge to the ascetics." Hearing these words of that righteous monarch of the mountains, Dundhubi, his eyes red with anger, answered, if you have got the strength to fight and are paralyzed with fear, then tell me who is able to match his prowess with mine, for I wish to enter into combat with him. Hearing this, the wise Himavat, skillful in discourse, answered that powerful Titan to whom he had spoken previously, saying, the name of that hero of great intelligence who dwells in Kishkindha is Vali, the illustrious son of Shakra or Indra. That great sage is a skillful warrior and of your stature. He is as well able to enter into combat with you as Indra with Namuchi. Go with all speed and seek him out, since you are thirsting to fight. He has little patience and is ever full of martial ardor. Having listened to the words of Himavat, Dundhubi in fury went to Kishkindha, Vali's city, and assuming the form of a terrible buffalo with pointed horns resembling a thunder cloud charged with rain in the sky, that powerful titan came to the gates of the capital. Causing the earth to tremble with his cries, he uprooted the trees near the entrance of the city, snapping them in two. Then, like an elephant, he burst open the gates. My brother, who was in the inner apartments, hearing the tumult, came out, full of impatience, surrounded by his wives, like the moon encircled with stars. And that leader of the monkeys, Wali, said to Dundhubi in clear and measured accents, O Dundhubi, why do you obstruct the gateway of the city and bellow thus? I know who you are. Have a care for your life, O warrior. At these words of the sagacious king of the Vanaras, Dundhubi, his eyes red with anger, answered, do not address me thus in the presence of women. O warrior, I accept I accept my challenge and meet me in combat today so that I can measure your strength. You do, O Vanara, I am willing to restrain my wrath for one night to allow you to indulge in the pleasures of love according to your whim till the rising of the sun. Distribute alms, therefore, to your Vanaras and embrace them for the last time. You are the king of the deer of trees. Do yourself, load your friends and people with favors. Look long on Kishkinda. Enjoy the company of your wives. For I am about to chastise you for your insolence to slay a drunken man or one who is demented or whose strength was ebbed away and who is without weapons or defense or one like you given over to lust is considered equal to infanticide in the world because at that time it is a midnight and Wali was sleeping with his wives. Naturally, he would have been in a drunken state and half asleep. So Dundhubi is giving him a chance of life for a day so that he can recover from all that and come back ready for the fight. However, Wali is not of that stature. Dismissing all his wives, including Tara and others, my brother, restraining his wrath, smiling, answered the chief of the Titans, saying, do not make a pretext of my being inebriated if you are not afraid to enter into combat with me. Know that in the present issue, this intoxication is the wine of warriors. With these words, he threw off the golden chain that his father Mahendra had given him and began to fight. Seizing Dundhubi by the horns, who resembled a mountain, that elephant among monkeys roared aloud and began to assail him with blows. Thereafter, Wali, with a tremendous shout, threw him on the ground, and blood began to flow from the stricken buffalo. Then, betwixt the two combatants, Wali and Dundhubi, mad with anger, each desirous of overcoming the other, a terrible struggle ensued. My brother fought with matchless courage, equal to Indra's, dealing blows with his face, knees, feet, and also with rocks and trees. The duel between the Vanara and the Titan caused the latter to weaken, while the strength of while the strength of the former grew. In the end, Wali, lifting Dundubi up, let him fall on earth, and in this death struggle the giant perished. As he fell, blood flowed in rivers from the veins of his body, and the Titan of vast limbs lay stretched on the ground, having rejoined the elements. Lifting up the inanimate corpse in his two arms, Wally with one throw sent it flying to a distance of 4 miles. From the Titan's jaws, shattered by the violence of the fall, blood sprouted forth, and the drops were carried by the wind to Matanga's hermitage. Seeing that rain of blood, the sage displeased reflected, "What perverse wretch has dared to spatter me with blood? Who is this evil, perfidious, and vile creature, this madman?" Thinking thus, that excellent Muni went out of the hermitage and beheld the buffalo as large as a mountain lying dead on the ground. By virtue of his austerities, he knew that a Vanara was responsible for this deed, and he pronounced a terrible curse on that ape who had thrown the corpse there, saying, "May he never come here. If that those Vanaras who with a stream of blood has desecrated this wood where I have built my retreat ever sets foot on this place, he will going to die. Should that wicked wretch who has thrown the corpse of his titan here, breaking my trees, come within 4 miles of my hermitage, he shall assuredly not survive, and his confederates, those who are close to him, whosoever they may be, who have sought refuge in my forest, will not be permitted to remain here following this malediction. Let them go there where they will, for I shall assuredly curse any who stay in these woods that I have protected like my own offspring, and destroy the foliage and young shoots, plucking the fruit and scratching up the roots. From today, every monkey that I see here will be changed into stone for the period of 1,000 years." On hearing the words of the ascetic, all the monkeys that frequented those woods went away, and beholding them issuing from the forest, Wali inquired of them, saying, "Why have you all come here, O dwellers of the Matanga Forest? Happy are they who dwell in the woods." Then those monkeys told Wali, who wore a golden chain of gold, the cause of their departure and also of the curse that had been laid on them. My brother, hearing the monkey's words, sought out that great rishi and with joined palms attempted to appease him. But Matanga refused to listen to him and re entered his hermitage. Trembling under the shadow of that curse, Wally began to roam about aimlessly, but terrified of the malediction. That monkey, that Vanara, did not dare approach the great mountain Rishamuka or even glance in that direction. O Prince, knowing he will never venture here, O Rama, I wander about these woods with my companions, free of all anxiety. Of course, if it affects Wali and all his confederates, why that curse is not affecting Sugriva? Remember here, Sugriva is no longer a confederate of Vali. He had become an enemy of Vali. So, because of that reason, probably the curse may not be affecting him. Because while uh, Sage Matanga was pronouncing that curse, he told it will only affect Vali, who will going to die, and his confederates turning into a stone. The heaped bones of Dundhubi, the victim of arrogance, his strength inspired in him, are here and resemble the peak of a vast mountain. Wali, in his might, stripped all the leaves from these seven giant Sala trees with their mighty boughs, one after the other. His strength is immeasurable, O Rama. I have now proved it to you. In consequence, I do not see how you can overcome him in battle, O king. In fact, whenever we venture into any new activity, the first obstacle for us is the fear towards that activity, whether we will be able to achieve it or not. And that fear itself will stop us, and we end up in doing the procrastination, and we will never be able to achieve that. Unless and until that fear is removed, we cannot even put our first step into that activity. Now, the same thing is happening. Sugriva need his wife to be back, need his kingdom to be back, need himself to be put on the throne. The fear of Wali is preventing him from taking any action against Wali, though he is also equally combatant and equally powerful compared to Wali. Now he requires someone who will going to remove the fear in his mind. Thus spoke Sugriva, and Lakshmana, smiling, then inquired of him, what can Rama do to convince you that he is able to overcome him? So Lakshmana is asking him what Rama can do so that you can overcome from fear. If Rama is able to penetrate these seven Sala trees that Vali pierced again and again with a single arrow, then by that sign I shall know he can overcome him. Vali was capable of cutting off a tree with a single arrow. So he expects Rama also to repeat the same act. At the same time, let him with a single kick send the carcass of the buffalo flying to a distance of 100 bows length. Because that carcass of Budundubi is still lying there. So if he could simply kick it to a long distance of nearly 100 bow long, then then Sugriva can trust in the strength of Rama. Having spoken, Sugriva, corners of whose eyes were slightly red, reflected a while, and then once more addressed Rama, the descendant of Prakasha, saying, full of courage and audacity, renowned for his strength and energy, that powerful monkey has never been defeated in combat. His exploits are famous, the gods themselves are not able to accomplish them. It was on remembering them, filled with terror, that I resolved to take refuge on the Rishyamukha mountain. Thinking of that Indra among the monkeys and how invincible, irresistible, and ruthless he is, I came here. Filled with distress and anguish, I wander about in these woods with my devoted and excellent companions, Hanuman and others. You are for me a glorious and illustrious friend. O you who are dear to my your friends, O lion among men, I take refuge with you as in another Himavan. Yet I am conversant with the strength of my wicked brother and his overbearing nature, and I am not acquainted with your skill as a warrior. O Raghava, assuredly it is not that I wish to test you or humiliate you or nor inspire you with fear by recounting his great exploits. My own cowardice is well known. O Rama, your accents, your assurance, your timidity and your stature truly manifest your great power, which is like a fire concealed beneath. ashes. Hearing the words of the magnanimous Sugriva, Rama began to smile and answered him, saying, if you do not trust in your courage, O monkey, O Vanara, I will instill with that confidence so essential in war. Having the courage and confidence is the primary essentialities before entering into a war. Then with his foot that mighty hero sent the dried up carcass of the Titan flying. Seeing the carcass hurling through the air, Sugriva once more addressed Rama, who was as radiant as the sun in the presence of Lakshmana and the monkeys. And in candid accents, he said, "Of course, Rama kicked the uh, kicked the carcass of the Titan Dundhubi with simply his foot to a long distance. But what the outcome with Sugriva is, oh my friend, when that corpse was fresh and its flesh intact, it was sent flying through the air by my brother, though he was weakened by inebriation and fatigue. Now stripped of flesh, as light as a straw, you have kicked it, you have kicked it in play. It is therefore impossible for me to judge who is the more powerful, you or Wali. Between a fresh corpse and a dry bones, there is a great difference, O Raghava, because when Wali had thrown it, it was full with the flesh, and naturally its weight also will be more. But now, devoid of the flesh, only bones are remaining. The bones have become light now. So certainly, even with this, the Sugriva's fear is still not clear, and he is not filled with the required courage and confidence to go into the fight. He is not testing the abilities of Rama. Instead, he is only trying to rid off his own fear and fill himself with the courage. I am therefore still uncertain, my dear friend, as to who is the stronger, you or Wali. But if you are able to pierce even a single Sala tree, then I should be able to judge who is superior and who inferior. Therefore, stretch that bow which resembles the trunk of an elephant, and drawing the cord up to your ear, discharge that great arrow, which I am sure will penetrate the Sala tree, and by that sign I shall be satisfied. I implore you, O Prince, that do me this great favor, as among the planets the sun is greatest, and among mountains the Himalayas, just as among quadrupeds the lion is king, so among men you are supreme in valor. Thus ended chapter 11 in Kishkindha Kanda of Ramayana. If Sugriva is filled with so much of fear, and if Vali is of such immense strength, anyway, the army of the Vanaras, can be switched to any side. It is currently under the Vali, and if Vali is killed, it will switch its loyalty towards Sugriva. But when knowing this, why is that Kadamba? Because of the influence of all the devatas. Probably devatas must have influence to the tell him to develop an alliance between Rama and Sugriva. So why then they advised Rama to go to Sugriva and develop an alliance? And even Rama, why did he came to Sugriva, who is very meek and he is suffering from the fear of Wali? When there is a mighty Wali having a large army behind him, if Rama went and seek refuge with Wali, Wali would have immediately, without waiting a second, he would have attacked on Lanka. Or because he was having an earlier friendship with Ravana, somehow he could pressurize Ravana and he could bring Sita back. But the situations can be on either side. What is the guarantee that Wali will go into support? Because Wali is having lot of pride about his own capabilities. He would simply treat Rama as a slave who is requesting him for a help. And whether he help or not, that is immaterial. But what is more important is Rama is more interested in the drama that is following, because the drama that is following, wherein he killed Vali, Sugriva became the king. Sugriva sent all the Vanaras in every direction, and one Hanuman will jump off the ocean, find the presence of Sita in Lanka, then he come back, and then they constructed a bridge across the sea, and then they all moved to Lanka. They had a fight. There is a lot of message in this. Remember, reading Ramayana, or the very purpose of Ramayana, is not simply to kill Ravana. If it is simply the question of killing Ravana, it could have been just done at the will of Rama if he is truly an incarnation of Vishnu. With just out of his will, he would have killed Rama. But what message it will going to provide? Any act that is done, even if he is an incarnation of the God, his act should inspire the following generations. If you see Ramayana, even after thousands of years, we do not know when it was held, even thousands of years later, Ramayana still today, even today, it inspires millions and billions in the present world. If one such thing is to happen, even the God Himself took an incarnation. He has to suffer and He has to go through the arduous life to show the people how exactly they need to live. One should make a friendship with not a powerful one, because making a friendship with a powerful one will make you much more weaker, and making a friendship with someone who is also equally suffering. Sugriva can understand the problem of Rama easily because he is also suffering from the same problem. And then, in his help, there will certainly be a genuineness. If Vali would have turned to help Rama, he would have done it as a kind of donation, which a Kshatriya can never be able to accept. He would have simply done it as if he is gifting Rama with Sita. Now, when Sugriva is doing it, Sugriva will follow Rama as an obedient servant, and with all his entire army, he will fight under the command of Rama. And under the command of Rama, there are many things which need to be done as part of Ramayana, and that is what makes the history in Bharata. In Bharata, history is not accounted on the basis of when someone is born, in which year he is born, where he was located, in which city he was doing the dwelling. Those things are of least importance. Those may be good if you are facing an examination. And remember, by hearting all this information, writing it down in the examination, you will only prove your capabilities of, of memorizing the thing and not changing your personality. The purpose of history in the Bharata is to change the personality of an individual, become a mighty citizen, and not a simply mugging machine who will going to repeat the words that is been told to him. That would only help someone to become a servant. In the name of modern education, the invaders like Britishers, they wanted to teach the such kind of a history, mainly because they need servants for their kingdom. But that's no longer the case. But even today, people do mug up and write it in the year end examination, only turn out to be slaves, begging the government for some job or the other. Every student who enters into the university looks for a placement because he is only capable of doing the job that is given to him and not capable of generating the jobs, or not capable of living on his own, which is never possible in the current education, which is based upon the slavery. The history is being taught in the same sense, and such a history is naturally, it is slowly dying down. If you observe in the today's generation in the universities, there are hardly anybody who is interested in studying history as their subject, because it is only the question of memorizing the things and repeating those memorized words in the examination. Whereas the true history, like what is been written in Ramayana and Mahabharata, the purpose is not to remember what Ravana did, what Rama did, what Sugriva did, what Vali did, but how they did that and what's in it for us, what message it gives it for me, how it changes my personality. That is more important. Here, Rama, though he know Vali is mightier than Sugriva, and is capable of even defeating Ravana, Rama is nowhere interested in developing an alliance with Vali because that alliance will not be between the equals. Vali will never be able to respect Rama in the same way like Sugriva is respecting. Whereas an alliance with Sugriva will be at equal level. Sugriva will be much more humbler. A humble person developing an alliance with an humble person will be more fruitful than developing alliance with a mighty person. And that is what is the crux. Namaste Sharada Devi Kashmira Puramasini Swamaham Praptaye Nityam Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.